Hello, hello, everyone. Come in, come in, come in, come in. Hit the like and hit the share button. Um, I was just listening to Dr. Boyce Watkins break down his analysis of Kamala Harris, right? Kamala Harris. Yeah, I think I'm saying it right. Want to make sure I don't say Kamala. Kamala Harris and um, her statement about 5 years ago, approximately 5 years ago, when asked the questions if she or asked a question if she supports reparation, right? If she support reparation. Now, let me make this clear first and foremost. I'm independent. I am not support of any president. I'm automatically, when you have a conversation with the black and brown community and expose both parties, the Democrats or the Republicans, especially when you expose the Democratic party because it is a religious thing for blacks mostly to vote Democrat. And so once you expose the Democratic Party, they take it that you are in support of the Republican Party or that I am in support of the Republican Party, and that's not the case, right? We already know when I say we, I'm talking about the black and brown community, the prejudices of President elect or select or running for presidency of Trump, right? We already know those presidencies. And so when people say things like the lesser of the two evils, I don't think they realize that automatically they are stating that both are evil first and foremost, right? And I only give my vote, I'm only going to put my time and energy into giving my vote to the person that I feel like that will address the issue of reparations. Now, if you're a person that says, why are we still talking about reparations? It was over 400 years of that, the transatlantic slavery happened. Well, it's in 400 years plus because the video that I'm about to show you breaking down um, Kamala Harris' statement, she also talks about Jim Crow. So you can't just say 400 plus years ago of slavery and not forget about the civil rights movement and Jim Crow oppression as well, right? The Malcolm X, the Martin Luther King era. You can't forget about that oppression, financial oppression as well. So what we're going to do is analyze how she responded to this question. Something that Dr. Boyce Watkins brought out as well is that they don't expect many black people to be critical thinkers, right? They expect black people to be emotional thinkers, to be religious thinkers, to do what they've done, always done because of a religious belief, and not to look at things for what they really are, right? Not to see the facts and address the issues. Another thing, if you may be a person that says we need to forget about slavery, we need to move on, I do not agree with that because if you don't address the past, you cannot progress into the future, right? And every other group of people, every other culture has received reparations except the black and brown community. Why is that? When the black and brown community was a community that was held in slavery and bondage for the longest, I've always referred to this that if American, quote unquote, the American Jews received reparations during the Obama administration for the Holocaust, which did not even happen in America, did not even happen in America, then why have blacks been held back and suppressed from reparations? Why? And it happened right here in the United States. And furthermore, it's not the American flag. We have the Olympics going on, and you have some people kneeling, like Brittany Griner, LeBron James, kneeling when the national anthem is played, right? It's not, it is the flag of the United States, but it's not the American flag. That last stance in the Pledge of of liberty and justice for all in America has not panned out to be true at all. Has not panned out to be true. It's liberty and justice for some. And so why isn't more of the Black and brown community focused on reparations? The Black and brown community will debate and argue over which political party is the best, but do not want to have a roundtable discussion about why reparations is deserved and needed and well overdue to the Black and brown community. And I also say this for people that say, why can't you just leave slavery alone? Well, you still want to remember the Alamo, right? You want to forget slavery, but remember the Alamo. You want to remember the Civil War. You want to throw out teaching Black history in schools, but yet you want to teach other historical events that's not even accurate. For example, Christopher Columbus finding America. That's not true. That's very inaccurate. In fact, his true name was not even Christopher Columbus. There were African Indians, Black Native African Indians on America's soil. So you can't discover something that was already found. Christopher Columbus came across a group of people that were already living on America's soil and invaded that land or this land, right? Invaded that land, invaded their territory, invaded America. It was already founded by others, right? And Black Native Americans at that. So let's look at this video. Let's break it down. You are welcome to comment and give your thoughts on this as well. You know what? I'm going to stop and play the video as it goes through, and we're going to analyze this, and we're going to critically think about this, remove our emotions, and we're going to be factual and just focus on the facts, right? No emotions involved. We're just going to dissect this video, critically analyze it, and focus on exactly what she's saying.
Do you support reparations for Black people? Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery.
Okay, starting out, she did not answer this question. Yes, to me, that was a yes or no question. To me, this was a yes or no question. Do you support reparations for Black people?
Do you support reparations for Black people? Well, listen, again.
Okay, dodging the question, diverting the question. Well, listen, again, this is just a simple yes or no answer, in my opinion, but let's play on.
We had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty. So by default.
Wow, still didn't answer the question about reparation, right? She said she wants to give a LIFT Act to families. Did she specifically say Black families? Let me rewind this. Who are earning under $100K and like tips that waiters or waitress make being tax-free. So giving just tax-free incentives, that's not supporting reparations at all. Giving tax-free incentives to 60% of low-income earners under $100K is not reparations, in my opinion. I want you all to comment, especially those who are now on the live stream.
For Black people.
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit.
Okay, and the LIFT Act that she said she will propose is for families who are making under 100K. This is not just including Blacks. So the answer that she's saying is indirectly, no, I'm not. Well, no, I take that back. She does directly say no. Let's continue to play it. She does directly say no.
Less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who.
So the interviewer asked her, there's not a particular strategy for Blacks that you will explore, and she directly says no. No. She directly says no. So my question is to the people on social media that's making her picture of eating collard greens with hot sauce on their profile on Facebook, and because she is of brown complexion, saying that they relate to her as a Black woman, but she's not Black, and she's never said she was, right? She directly says she's Indian American. Why? Why are you trying to make her Black when she's directly says, well, she did say no. You said she never answered. She did answer this one. When she directly said, I'm not doing anything specifically. Okay, let's hear it. I'm gonna stop talking and let it play so we all can hear it together.
The reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because.
Okay, she just answered it. And she answered it with an attitude. I mean, did you all notice the neck roll? Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm going to do something for Black people. No. If you were stereotyping, you can say she put on the Black woman attitude. If you were stereotyping. I'm not going to say I'm going to do something for Black people. No. She said with an attitude. With a swag, if you want to say that. I'm gonna put it on mute and let you see the change in her body language and posture. See? You can see it when with, I'm not saying I'm gonna do something for Black people. No. Why not? When you just expose, you just broke down Explain what 400 years of slavery did. Explain what Jim Crow did. Very aware of it. That we've never gotten the same benefits. When, as Dr. Umar broke down, the Asian hate laws and crime laws were passed, but they can't pass hate laws and crime laws for blacks that are getting killed by the hands of white police. But hate laws, crime laws can't be passed for that. Ebony says she's already said she's not doing anything specifically for black people. We shouldn't do anything specifically for her. And so now the question is, if you don't vote Democrat, then are you going to vote Republican? And if you're going to vote Republican, then why? Because you know Trump is not going to do anything for black people either. You know Trump is not. So what are you going to take your reparations in your own hand? That's my point. When is the black and brown community going to do something to collaborate for themselves? So let's break down the video again. She talks about all of the disparities, all of the things that blacks didn't get and knows, but yet says, no, I'm not going to play laws just for black people.
Support reparations for black people.
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination and segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the Lift Act.
So she says, we know everyone did not start on an equal footing in this country, especially Blacks. We have to recognize that, but yet say, although I will recognize it, we can talk about it. We can recognize. And she's specifically saying, we. That's the psychological part. Identifying herself to me with the Black community. She's constantly saying, we. To psychologically identify herself with the Black community. To tell you, no, we're not going to do anything specific for Black people, but using the terminology of we to make you still connect her with Blacks. That's how I perceive this. Ebony says, I'm Trump 2024. Trump will do more. We have never given him never? Okay. He was just president. We have never given him the opportunity. We kept turning our backs on him. Oh, wow. Who is we? When he opened the door to listen, when did that happen? And when did we turn our backs on him? Are you saying we as in the Black and brown community? The Black and brown community had never turned their backs on Trump, ever. In fact, he was well liked before he even ran for presidency. So I'm not going to agree with that. When Trump posted the white supremacy or retweeted, when Twitter was known as Tweet, the white power, white supremacy video on his Twitter account, a white man screaming white power. So no, I'm not. I respectfully don't agree with that opinion, but that's your opinion. Black people were told to hate him. Oh, what? Trump has been on record as saying that he's gone on record of not renting his hotel rooms to Black. He's gone on record of discriminating against Black. He's gone on record of retweeting the white supremacy video. Nobody have to tell you to hate someone or dislike someone that does that. Okay, but oh well. Here we go.
Have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
No, that's not right. And this is the thing, Ebony. I don't know if you're still here, but whenever I have these conversations, Ebony, you mentioned Trump, but I don't know if you what's your culture is, your race, your ethnicity, any of that. You mentioned Trump before you mentioned reparation. See, Black people will talk about everything except reparations. Anything that divides us, we'll talk about. Let's talk about what the other party will do. I'm not interested in what the other party will do. I'm not interested in what Trump or Kamala will do. I'm interested in why Black people don't want to talk about reparations. That's what I'm interested in. Why the Black community will not unite, and what's wrong with the Black community uniting when other cultural groups unite. It's a good thing. If our whites unite, it's a good thing. If our Asians unite and do business, it's a great thing. Chinatown unites. It's always a great thing. But when it's just Black-owned businesses, Black people uniting, the Black Caucus, the Black Panthers, it's always a bad thing, a bad image. So 53-year-old woman, thank you. That's all I want to hear. I unite with reparations. Trump has, how do you think we have a better chance with Trump and he's not even talking reparations? I've never heard Trump been asked the question or even addressed the question of reparations. Has Trump even stated his thoughts on reparation? If so, let me know. And I will try to find something or do a live stream on that. Now, this is Johnny Cochran. He mysteriously died. He mysteriously died after the O.J. Simpson trial, and he came out on publicly saying that he was beginning to start a process of suing the United States for reparations of the Hebrew Israelites, right? Jews, not Africans, first of all. The ancestors that were brought from West Africa and also area that was later changed to Middle East name, they were not Africans. They were Hebrew Jews, Israelites, right? In Jerusalem. That's why when Jesus was a baby, he was able to blend in, right? Because of his complexion. Paul in the Bible tells you that he's a Hebrew. Um, Joseph, when he was sold into the ancient Egyptians, into Pharaoh, he was able to blend in. They thought he was African, but he was a Hebrew Israelite. In fact, his brothers did not even recognize him. Jesus, Yeshua is the original name, practiced Jewish traditions. Look at the Old Testament. The first feast, the Jewish traditions that they practiced, the new moon, full moon, all those traditions, those are Jewish traditions. Jesus, Yeshua did not even practice Christianity, right? Um, the DNC kicked RFK Jr. off the ballot. Oh, that's probably who would have got my vote. I mean, yeah, Junior, RFK Jr. would have got my vote, right? I don't support Kamala and Democrats because they don't support reparations. Have we asked them? Yeah, I mean, has Trump been asked a question about reparations? Have Trump talked about reparations? All right, Johnny Cochran, let's listen in. And then he mysteriously died after he said that his next focus after the O.J. Simpson trial were to take on reparations.
Ogletree and Randall Robinson and some really great. And now, along with Charles Ogletree and Randall Robinson and some really great lawyers, we're gonna try to fashion a strategy to sue for slavery reparations in this country. Bring a lawsuit. It's not the most popular thing everywhere, but that's not the test. The test is slavery was wrong. The government sanctioned and benefited from it. You can't have 200 or 300 years of free labor built to help build the country. When you go to Washington, you look at those monuments like the Washington Monument, built by slaves. Nobody ever got any compensation for that. You got to look at it realistically, I think. So I think these are new challenges we have to face.
Johnny will never retire.
It's a journey to justice.
So that was Johnny Cochran's Journey to Justice campaign that never happened. He mysteriously died after his historical win for O.J. Simpson. That was very controversial about that, but nonetheless, that I mean, Democrats using the word black for vote. We are not black and white, or abstract. Great point, Tyler. Great point. It seems like talking about reparation is the boogeyman in politics. It seems like it's the boogeyman in just the black community as well. Right. And Johnny Cochran was on something. In fact, I believe Robert Johnson, one of the richest black men in America, has brought that subject up numerous times as well. I've never heard Oprah say anything about it. Not that these people are obligated to just because they're rich, but they are very influential, right, in their predictive spaces. And again, why should every other group of people receive reparations except blacks, right? Marianne Williamson has supported reparations for us. Why are none of us pushing for her to get on the ballot? Why are we not supporting her at large? She's ran for 2 elections. Honestly, me personally, I can answer that for you. I believe presidents are selected, not elected anyway. They're not. It's not the popular vote that's going to get presidents in. It's the electoral vote, and unfortunately, you have arguments over the popular vote. And so, therefore, I would rather focus on reparations because vote up, versus putting my energy into fighting for a president that's already going to take on that presidency, no matter what your votes say. In fact, the Biden-Trump election 4 years ago should have showed you that. I mean, if we was really going by votes, let's be honest, Trump would have been the next president. So presidents are puppets anyway. But the reason why I'm bringing out Kamala Harris is because the Black community, it takes nothing to get their votes. Nothing at all. No demands, no conversations about these things, just nothing but tradition. Or trust in someone just because they are of the opposite color. I think the Black and brown community has an issue and a problem with trusting their own or doing business with their own. Someone told me, for example, that, well, Blacks don't need reparations because we would just abuse the money. You know what? That's if you think like that, we will agree to disagree, because it's the principle of the thing. If someone would choose, and you know what? If the Black and brown community, well, Johnny Cochran was going to do it without political support. I mean, American Jews got it without political support for the Holocaust, which did not happen in America. I keep repeating it. Obama was more focused on LGBT rights when he was in presidency. So if every other groups, activists, LGBT, Asians, American Jews can get reparations, can get hate crimes passed, can get, laws passed, then why can't Blacks? Why? Are the donors for reparations? What donors? I'm not sure what you mean by donors. Okay, let's listen at Dr. Umar and his analysis of it.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
Why did y'all pass a law only for Asians? Why did y'all pass a law only for Native Americans? Why did y'all pass a law only for transgenders? Why did y'all pass a law only for LGBTQs? Why did y'all pass a law only for immigrants? If you can't do anything just for Black people, this is what she said. It came out of her mouth. If you can't do anything just for Black people, how was it possible for you and President Biden to do all these other things for specific ethnic groups in this country from whose benefit no other group?
And so the HR 40 bill was discussed while Trump was in president. It was attempted to be pushed in 2021, beginning 2021 and 2022. Well, not, and so not necessarily when Trump was president, but during the end of his tenure. So it was introduced in the House of January 4th, 2021, and establishes the commission to study the development reparation proposal for African Americans. Again, it's not Africans, but okay. The commission shall examine slavery and discrimination in the colonies and the United States from 1619 to present and recommend appropriate remedies. The commission shall identify the role of federal and state in supporting the institution of slavery, forms of discrimination in the public and private sectors against free slaves and their descendants. Now, whatever is the most updated thing about this bill, I don't know. No one is talking about it. Sheila Jackson, the Democrat out of Texas, is trying to push that proposal. I know. But however, the only reason why I did this video is because I think the Black and brown community should focus on the main thing and stop being divided and fighting over red or blue. Neither is for you. Because as long as that division is there, we won't ever be united and having conversations about reparation. I don't care who you vote for. I don't even care if you tell me I vote because our ancestors shed blood to vote. That's fine. That's your moral right to do that. And I understand it. Believe me, I do. But our ancestors did not know. In fact, it is a myth that Abraham Lincoln was assassinated because he wanted to free the slaves. If you ever heard or if you ever read his statement, he said, "This is the best for the Union to free the slaves, but I don't want to free the slaves. But it's just the best thing for the Union." He did not want to free the slaves. Right? He did not want to free the slaves. That was a myth that's why he was assassinated. That's not true. Not true at all. So we had the California reparations report on June 2023, and it was Separate and Unequal Education Act, housing segregation, enslavement, racial terror, definitely. Stolen labor and hindered opportunity. Like Kamala Harris, President Trump, Black job statement. They know that Blacks are still underpaid. When you look at the income in a Black household compared to other groups, Caucasians rank first, Black ranks last. In fact, Hispanics and Asian have surpassed us now as far as the average income household. Lowest paid, and yet we are debating about a president. And the reason why I believe it happens this way, because our culture have been taught to believe in somebody else, to believe in white supremacy. I always ask the Black church, why are they comfortable not knowing their Lord and Savior and his true color? Bronze and brass, according to Revelation 1:14 and Daniel 7:9, the color of his feet. His hair was white, but the texture of the hair was like wool. Why was the name changed? Why was Jesus painted white? The original paintings showed that Jesus was Black. Who recently exposed and displayed the original paintings of Jesus? So why is the Black church okay with not teaching from the Bible not only the character of Yeshua, but the color of Yeshua? Why? Why is it like in 1 Samuel 8 that I can tell you why? Because the Willie Lynch letter has a lot to do with it as well. You need to read the Willie Lynch letter. It's still very powerful and working today. Just turn the dark skin colors against the light skin colors. Turn the field Negroes against the house Negroes. Never keep them united. Always keep them divided. And so Johnny Cochran brought out the point. You get 400 years of free slavery to build the wealth. And I question, is that what MAGA mean, make America great again? Because America was greatest at its greatest point and wealthiest point from the free labor of slavery. Is that what that it represents? That's when America was riches and resources and dominating and exporting goods and services. It's not dominating now. You have China, you have Russia now that's dominating. And then Black America, if you are understood that the average of reparations that will be awarded to the descendants that were ancestors were tormented and traumatized and beaten and dismembered during slavery, that you will become an instant millionaire if you were rewarded. Maybe that would ignite you or inspire you to start having these conversations. Because the amount awarded to every descendant of ancestors of slavery would be over $1 million. So that biblical scripture that a lot of black churches jump and shout about. The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just. The overnight wealth transfer. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. If you get reparations, you can position yourself to do that. I still believe that America is going to have to repay and repent for reparations. Just no way around it. And that this year, we will see a depression going into 2025 like no other until that happens. The blood of our ancestors, just like Cain and Abel, right? And God says, I hear the blood of your brother screaming out. The blood of our ancestors is still on his land. You know, if you are a descendant, everybody may not be a descendant of slavery. Everybody might not qualify. I'm not even sure if I would qualify, but I have the conversation. Tara says, why do we need anyone to govern us? Govern means control. That's what biblically was saying in First Samuel chapter 8. The people were begging for a king, and God said, you don't need a king. I'm your God. I'm your Messiah. I'm your Savior. You don't need anyone to govern you. You don't need a king. And they kept begging for a king. And God said, okay, I give it to you. And they got Saul, and they deeply regretted. They deeply regretted, but they kept begging God for a king. It's on the money and God we trust, what they worship in political party, and how you get things done on Capitol Hill. Well, also on the dollar is the pyramids of ancient Egyptians and the all-seeing eye. And if you know anything about the ancient Egyptians, they worship and trust many gods, not just one God. So we really don't know what God that's printed on that money that is referring to. In fact, ancient Egyptians worship dogs. They believe dogs could walk in the afterlife. So it is believed that their God is dog spelled backwards. For some reason, they worship. If you look at their paintings and their portraits, a lot of their gods had dog heads, and they had dogs, and they worship dogs. So we really don't. That could not mean what we. When I say we, I mean religious people, right? Think that it means. I'm going to close with this. A white pastor, John Kilpatrick, says God is going to deal with those who won't repent for what was done to Black people. We're going to end with this small clip. Thank you all for coming in and sharing your comments on the live stream. And thank you in advance for those who will share their comments on watching the replay.
Back.
Now, let me say something right quick. I think back on the African American people in America. I think how they were taken against their wills, put in the belly of ships, brought over here, beat, cussed. Many of them died in the guts of those ships, thrown overboard. They were pulled from families over there. You ain't never heard a gut-wrenching song. You hear a black person sing one of those old black Negro spirituals. Nobody knows. I can't sing it like that, see, because I hadn't experienced what they be. When you've experienced hell, it comes out of the voice. I said, when you experience hell, it comes out of the voice. If you're one of those people that you got problem with black people or whatever, you better shut your mouth, because they're God's people. You better hear what I'm saying to you. You better shut your white mouth. You better shut your white mouth. I'm not kidding you. I know some
thoughts, your heart, right? Trying to see what the other one say. But your mind, your will, and emotions. Then you have your body, your senses, right? Your mind, your will, and emotions is your soul. That's why when a lot of people tell me that they only receive spiritual advice and spiritual help and not mental help, that's scary to me. That's scary to me because your spirit and soul is different. So you need that mental dealing with your mind when you're going through emotional trauma or mental trauma. And you need the spiritual combined, not separate. Right. Okay, you all. So that's it. I'm logging off. Just want to have this conversation tonight. I always tell you all, visit my website, millimoves.com. Get your crypto together. Get your coins together, specifically silver if you can afford gold and gold. But specifically silver. Silver will have a higher ROI, return on investment. Get your cash flow together and definitely get that credit score, your FICO score. Right? Low credit scores mean low cash flow. Get your credit scores together. In fact, I'm going to have more information on my credit services that I'm going to start back offering probably in approximately 2 weeks, right? I have to get everything together and organized to offer it to the public again. So I will have more information on that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You all have a blessed, safe night. Peace. Queen out.